Hi friends, and welcome to La Rosa Reads. I'm Denise La Rosa, and today I will be sharing with all of my fellow book lovers all of the books that I read in the month of August 2022. Let's talk books. August was a month full of surprises. I was winding down from my summer vacation. I had returned to work. I work in the field of education, so much like all of the students in America, I was getting the feeling that my wonderful summer vacation was coming to a close because, in fact, it was. I was surprised, though, that I didn't read nearly as much as I anticipated that I would be able to read in the month of August. I only finished 5 books, which I don't think that has happened to me since like maybe January or February of this year of 2022. So there's a lot of things that prevented me from reading as many books as I wanted. Like I said, I returned to work. I was getting my daughters ready for back to school, getting the school supplies, shoring up our schedule for the school year. It was indeed a hectic month, and I wish I could tell you that the 5 books I read were amazing, like regardless of the fact that I didn't read as many books, that I actually had a great solid month of reading, but that was not the case. Without any further ado, here are the books that I read in August of 2022. So the month of August got off to a great reading start for me by reading Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This was an A. Marie's book club selection, and I would like to think that I would have picked it up even if it wasn't an A. Marie's book club selection, because it's got so many things that I love in book covers. We have these bright, gorgeous colors. It was giving me video game vibes and vibes of my generation, so it was like a throwback for me. It just was luring me in whether or not A. Marie had said, read this book in the month of August. While I have a love for video games, a love and appreciation for them, it's very, very limited. Like, I'm talking about Super Mario World, all things Mario. I think back in the day, I was known as the first kid in my class to get the Super Nintendo when it had just come out. So needless to say, that kind of gained me some friends, and I had quite a few of those friends come over to my house after school. And I was a little hesitant to pick up Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Did I say too many tomorrows? Tomorrow times 3. Let's just put it that way. I was hesitant to pick this book up because at the center of the story, it's about the gaming world. We have Sadie and Sam. These are 2 individuals who met each other in an unconventional way as children. Sadie was at a children's hospital while her sister was struggling through cancer. And Sam, he was there because he was in a very traumatic and tragic car accident. Sadie was bored, went away from her sister's hospital room and went into a wonderful children's space. And that is where she ran into Sam for the first time, and he was playing a video game. She loves video games, and their friendship took off from there. Fast forward to the college years, and mind you, they were from California. So fast forward to the college years, both of them are attending 2 different colleges in Massachusetts, and they run into each other again. And Sadie is studying at MIT, I believe, and she has created a video game. And she says to Sam, check out this game that I've created. And they reunited through gaming, which is the way they found each other. And then we also have a third wheel, if you will, Marks, who is Sam's college roommate. And he has money and access, so he becomes their producer and supporter and their voice of reason. And they actually create an incredible video game that launches this unimaginable, spectacular, hugely successful career in the gaming world for both Sam and Sadie, with Marks also being the producer and supporter of this journey. So he was involved in the success as well. What we have here is more about relationships And I said this in my August TBR video. I was excited to read this book because it wasn't so much about a romantic relationship or a familiar relationship. It's about friendship. And I haven't been reading too many books that explores the nuances and the complexities of friendships. And the reality is friendships are such a huge part of our lived experiences, not just romance, not just family stuff, friendship stuff, and it can get messy. The writing was so beautiful. It is indeed a thick book, and I found it to be slow in starting for me, yet intriguing enough that I wanted to continue on. And I'd say about 40% of the way, it started to pick up speed, and I'd say about 60% of the way on, it really took off, and it went in many directions. I have to admit, the chapter, The Pioneers, where Sam and Sadie are basically communicating with each other through yet one of their latest game that they had created. I believe it was just Sam that created it. That one was a little slow and confusing for me because it was about them communicating with each other through the gaming world as opposed to in real life. And so I found that to be slow, but if you're a gamer and a lover of video games, you may find that to be your favorite chapter. You do not have to be a gamer to love and appreciate this book. However, I think if you are a gamer and really familiar and well-versed in the world of gaming, that's just going to be like the cherry on top. You don't need that cherry on top to find this book to be profound, to be relatable, to be intriguing, and deeply moving in ways that I was not anticipating. So this actually, I'm kind of spoiling the earliest parts of this video by saying this book was my favorite read of August. So yay, at least I had one good one. So Tomorrow Times 3 was an awesome start to my reading month in August. And I was like, bring it on, August. Come on through, baby. Let's keep this party going. And so, yeah, next came The Blues. Like, The Blues Walked In by Kathleen George. And this is a book that I buddy read with the fantabulous Olive over at A Book Olive. We had discovered this book together, although Olive had previously owned the book. We both attended an author talk where Kathleen George read an incredible excerpt. It was just like an experience to hear Kathleen George read this excerpt. So right away, we knew at some point this year we were going to buddy read this book. We were super excited. We were like revved up, communicating before we started diving into the book. And we're like, yay, The Blues Walked In. Yay, Lena Horne. Yay, Pittsburgh authors. And this book, I am sad to say, just wasn't giving. It is hard for me to say some of the things I'm about to say because we have a local author, local to me, and we have an incredible jazz musician, entertainer, whom I absolutely admire, that is supposed to be the central figure in this historical fiction piece. Where do I begin? So what you have happening in The Blues Walked In is Lena Horne coming to Pittsburgh to spend time with her father, who is living in Pittsburgh and an owner of a hotel in the Pittsburgh area. She is discovering Pittsburgh and all that it has to offer around music, jazz music, nightclubs, the theater, and she's very lonely and kind of at an inflection point in her career, in the earlier parts of her career. She's also looking for love. Long story short, her father finds this man for her, or did he? You gotta read. I don't know if I'd recommend you do that, but there is this man that she ends up marrying, and then she goes back and forth from Pittsburgh to New York to LA, as she's struggling to find her way and find herself, find out who she is as an entertainer in the entertainment industry. Parallel to that are two other characters a black young man who lives nearby the hotel that Lena Horne's father owns, and an Iranian, I believe, young woman. I believe she's Iranian. Forgive me if I have the wrong Middle Eastern country. And so Lena Horne crosses paths with these two individuals, and their storylines, quite frankly, really caused and allowed us to not get into Lena Horne's storyline at all. Lena Horne was lost. Let me just say, I felt deceived. Lena Horne was lost in this book. It just never really got in deep. You didn't really feel like you were sinking your teeth into like what was it like to be Lena Horne? What was Lena Horne experiencing, feeling, seeing? Like, it was so bizarre. These other two characters, and there was so much going on. Like, Kathleen George was doing the most. It was like some black crime and police brutality and feeling othered in a city, coming in as an immigrant, trying to be an entertainer. I'm like, my head was hurting. And the writing, I say this with love, was very much at the level of, I would say, middle school. I actually have even read some middle grades novels that were more eloquently written. I was just flat out disappointed in this book. I don't even feel bad saying that because I have a right to say that. As a reader, we have a right to not like a book and not feel bad about it, while also respecting the fact that someone put forth effort. Kudos to you. And, it's not my thing. Maybe it's somebody else's. If you are a fan of Lena Horne's, if you are intrigued or curious about Lena Horne, this is not the book for you. I highly suggest and recommend you pick up another book. What book? I don't know, because I'm about to search the web and find out myself, because I really would like to read about Lena Horne when a book says it's about Lena Horne. This was 2 stars for me. Deuces. So after that experience, I needed an escape. I didn't want to look for a very deep, profound book. I didn't want something heavy, but I wanted something good and well written. So I dove in. Yeah, whatever. I got into Del A for Aunties, and I found it to be so enjoyable, so quirky and fun. So Medlin Chan is this young woman who feels very much like committed to her 3 aunties and her mom. She feels like she has to stick by them and stay close to them because her auntie's children, who are all boys, who are sons, have kind of abandoned them, and they find this to be the Chan curse. So she sticks around in LA despite, she kind of sacrifices who she wants to be and what she wants to do to join in on their wedding business. She's the photographer. One auntie is the baker. Her mother's the florist. There's a makeup artist. It's like a whole business, and it's going well. At the same time, Medlin's mom really wants to hook her daughter up with somebody. She feels like it's time for you to get with somebody. So she sets her up on it's not even a blind date. She kind of poses as Medi on this website, this dating website, and it gets really wild from there. I think it's safe to say this part because it's a part of the synopsis. She ends up killing her date, she being Medi. She kills her date, and the rest is just one comical mishap after another. It was fun. I have 4 aunties and a wedding right in the queue, ready to go, and I can't wait to read the sequel. It was fun. It was just what it needed to be. A cozy mystery. Oh my gosh, you guys, I forgot. I read a book between Tomorrow Times 3 and The Blues Walked In, and it was Fake It Till You Bake It. What a title. What an idea for a story. We have a very handsome, successful football player who also loves to bake and has decided to start a bakery on the side as his side hustle, if you will. And also, he's a gentleman, a man, a human being who is a planner, very type A, and he's trying to have a plan for whenever football is ending for him, and he wants to segue into this bakery as a full-time gig. Then you have this fancy schmancy woman, Jada, and she's sassy. She just came off a reality TV show, much like The Bachelor, and turned down the proposal of the star of that show. Oh my lordy. So she ends up working at Sugar Blitz, which is the name of Donovan's bakery. And, this is like, it's almost an enemies to romance because their first encounter with each other wasn't very pleasant, but it wasn't like they were complete and total enemies. They were just not jiving, not vibing with each other, and they ended up having a mutual acquaintance person that they know that kind of organically brought them together to work together at Sugar Blitz. And then they got the bright idea that, like, if we pretend we are together, the fake dating trope, then that's going to boost the business at Sugar Blitz because that bakery ain't doing too well. And it's also going to boost Jada's reputation in the media because she is the most hated woman in reality TV at this point. Does it work? Does it not? You have to read to find out. This book was a solid romance read. Nothing surprising. It was what it was, and nothing more, nothing less. So if you're into that kind of thing, check it out. The last book I read was actually for my place of employment. This was a required summer read, and it was actually the required summer read that I recommended for people, and it's titled Beautiful Country, a Memoir by Kian Julie Wang. Just take a look. If you want to know what I think what I think about this book, just look at the tabs. There were so many moments that I would consider aha moments that I feel like I needed to lean into to learn more about what it's like to be an immigrant in America. It was just so beautifully written. And, I also found myself, I'm a little bit older than the author, but we're not far enough apart in age that I didn't recognize some of the pop cultural references. And Kian's family, her father, her mother, and Kian, because she's an only child, end up in New York City. Her father left first. And when they were in China, that is their country of origin, their native country, her parents were very successful. They were professors. They were considered experts in their areas of expertise. And then their move to America really changed the way they were perceived. They were forced to work jobs that were really, I don't want to say beneath them, but they had to humble themselves and end up working in factories and doing all of this menial work that they knew they were capable of doing more, but were prevented from stepping into their fullest selves as immigrants here in America. It makes you, this book, this memoir, forces you to let go of assumptions when you encounter people, whether it's immigrants. This book had so many jewels, so many wonderful words of wisdom and insight that goes beyond the story of an immigrant. However, I want to honor that this is about immigrating to America. But with all of that being said, you have to let go of assumptions that you have about people. There were so many people that would run into Kian's mother or her father or her, like Kian herself would be very dirty and they were very poor. And there were these assumptions that they weren't smart, they weren't capable. And it makes you wonder, is America, we say it's the melting pot, and visually, aesthetically, maybe that is the case. But what's happening in that melting pot? How is everyone feeling in that melting pot? I say this often in my job. This is a quote from an article, and I hate that I don't know who the person is that said it. But it's not enough to harvest diversity. It's essential that we invest in diversity. And this book opened my eyes to the fact that we are not investing in the individuals who dwell within this country known as the United States of America. And what can I do about it? What does this mean? I don't have the answers, obviously. Those are big questions, but I encourage you to read this book. It's humbling. It is eye-opening. It is absolutely amazing. All right, so considering that my month was kind of alright, like I think Beautiful Country, Tomorrow Times 3 were by far my favorite reads, and I felt like all the others were distant seconds, thirds, they were kind of like way down compared to those two. I ended up chatting a lot about these books. So, hey, it is what it is. What did you read in the month of August? I'm curious. If you want to know what I have in my docket, my plans for reading in September, check out my September TBR. And until next time, happy reading, friends. Bye.